What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So, Survivor Season 48, Episode 10 is here, and we're coming down the home stretch. Last week, we obviously saw a big move in David going home, who has been a big part of the season, a part of that majority alliance. So, going forward here, will we see the dismantling of that major alliance that has run the game really to this point and seems really in control? Or was that just a one-off? And will that group go back to dominating to get to that final 5-4 that they've been working towards for this whole game? So, before we do jump in, if you could just hit that like and subscribe button down there. A little more Survivor content on the channel, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a video. So jumping in back at camp, Mary feels at the bottom again. Eva talks to Mary and tells her, like, I really like you, and says that I can mark it. You know, we can use you as a vote, or we can get Mary out anytime. Eva says that she picked her people and her core four of Joe, Shaheen, and Kyle, and she does have all of the ammunition to go to the final four with her immunity idol, with her advantage that she got last episode as well. So she really does have the ammunition, and really, with the 4-person alliance that she has, with 8 people left in the game, they're really in a good spot if they can get past this vote right here. Obviously, 8 people left in the game can be 4-4, but getting past this vote is key for that alliance. And Star and Camilla and Mary talk about looking at the cracks in that core 4 group alliance. Revolution, the big people getting eaten by the piranhas, as Star says. And Star says Shaheen is the brain, Joe is the body, and Eva is the heart. Mitch is hilarious, telling a story about delivering mail and thinking that a pit bull was coming after him when he was delivering the mail. Started running, ran into a tree, was crawling to the road just for the dog to be chained up. Thought that was a funny moment of the episode. Joe and Shaheen mentioned to Mitch about just getting to 6 and doing Mary and Star the next 2 votes to get there. Joe feels solid. Eva does as well. The whole 4 really do feel solid, so something's got to give, right? No one can be this confident with a couple episodes left here in the season. And Mitch and Star talk about doing a 2-way tie, thinking that they could get someone to flip because the kind of Camilla said it earlier in the episode that they're playing a scared game and don't want to go to rocks. Mitch doesn't take Star too seriously, though, and Camilla knows that, you know, she's working closely with Kyle, obviously, but knows that she's not a part of that core 4, and, you know, it's just kind of be taken to the end to have competitors at the end. And Camilla tells Kyle that they want to vote out Joe, but Kyle is drawing a line because he says that he's burned so many bridges and doesn't want to betray another person. And Camilla says that she'll do the dirty work, and Kyle said that he'll possibly try to set her up with a shot to go after Joe, but won't give her that final number, as he kind of wants to be hands-off and doesn't want to be involved in that. And he knows that the season has been played with a lot of emotion and connections and honesty and all this stuff. So maybe the jury and, you know, at the end of this game, they won't be looking for the strategic, traditional moves like we normally see on the past seasons of Survivor. So Kyle lets Joe know that Camilla is on in that 6-person alliance and that no tomfoolery or trickery seems to be going on. We go to a reward challenge, fried chicken and waffles for the reward. Song breaks out, everyone's feeling good. Kyle wins the reward, chooses Eva, Camilla, and Shaheen to join him. Mitch is disappointed with Kyle not taking him and feels like he can't catch a break in this game. At the reward, everyone's enjoying themselves. Eva doesn't see anyone coming after her and feels good about the next few votes. And it's like, okay, we're really teeing this up. Something's got to be going down, right? Kyle said that today was a strategy decision to get Mitch, Star, and Mary mad to possibly make a move with Camilla. So helping his ally possibly tee up a move for her. Did this to show Camilla that he is trying to help her out. And Joe said it kind of bothered him at first that Kyle didn't take him, but he said maybe he did it on purpose to babysit back at camp. Joe and Mary talk, and Joe tells Mary that the narrative was that David was paranoid because of Mary, and that she kind of, you know, manipulated him and took advantage of him or made him this paranoid, and that everyone thinks Mary turned him, you know, into the way that he was and how he was kind of framed as paranoid and everything. And seems to be upsetting Mary a little bit, and can tell that Joe is definitely doing jury management here, but seems to be giving Camilla more bullets to make this move. Mary asks Mitch if he's willing to go to rocks. Everyone else down to go to rocks, but Mitch doesn't trust them. But as he says, you gotta play a fluid game and doesn't want to play a scared game. The plan is to go after Joe, and as Mitch says, work too hard to not go out swinging. Head to the immunity challenge and spot in the final 7 on the line. Rice is on the table. So Rice negotiations here again. Need 3 people to sit out. No one even budges. And no one really questions it. And we see Jeff actually kind of ask. We see him ask Shaheen. Like the first couple seasons, like 41, 42, 43, did have people sit out and, take the Rice. And then over the last couple seasons, we've really kind of seen a switch. And Shaheen kind of says it best. Like, hey, you, Jeff, the game, throws curveballs at us. And if those curveballs, kind of stay the same, if we always have that rights negotiation, basically, it's like, hey, we're going to flip the game back kind of on its head too, flip it back on you. Hey, we've seen this trend go this way a couple of seasons, last couple of seasons, okay, it's flipped that way. Kind of force the show's hand to, hey, got to switch this up, or hey, we got to do this. And that's what has made Survivor so incredible for 48 seasons, is continuing to evolve, do something for a couple seasons, like, hey, this kind of maybe getting played out, or it's not having the same effect it did the first time or two. Like, I can think really good example of this, of the Hourglass from some of the new era seasons at the Merge Challenge, or that kind of middle portion, where you could flip that. We kind of saw that go for a couple times, and then, okay, that kind of ran its course. And a couple other things, we've seen throughout the history of Survivor. So curious if this will continue, and I'm curious if they left that in for a reason, if that will change going into 49, 50, and so on. So no one takes it, everyone's competing, and after a back and forth challenge, Survivor Classic, one of my favorites as well, but Joe wins immunity, so now the plans kind of have to pivot. Eva, maybe, if they're trying to get one of Joe and Eva out, because from bird's eye view, at least watching from home, and it seems like the players even see this as well, that, hey, Joe and Eva are kind of running this game. Yes, it's a core 4, but they've been kind of at the forefront of everything for a good amount, if not most, of this game. Star asks Mitch if he'd vote for Shaheen. Mitch tells Star to play Shot in the Dark, and then turns around to tell Shaheen that Star is coming after him. Tells Camilla that he doesn't trust Star and Mary, so doesn't want to make a move. And he's like, I know everyone at home is just saying, you got Mitch, you got to make a move, but if you can't make a move in this game if you don't trust people. While I agree, definitely, and obviously watching from home, you definitely have more information. At some point, yes, we're sitting at home with more information, but that information obviously is correct. We see that Mitch would definitely be at the bottom of that 6, and we know that it's a strong 4, and it seems like they're aware that it's a strong 4 of Joe, Eva, Kyle, and Shaheen. I mean, they've been working together for a majority of this game, and so you got to be like, hey, got to make a move, even if you don't trust these people. It's like, hey, if I go out at 8, I'm either going out at 8 or I'm going out at 6 or 5. And obviously, yes, I'd rather not go out at all, but if I had to choose between going out at 8 and 5, I'd obviously want to choose 5, because, what if something happens? What if you win immunity? But who knows? We're not out there playing Survivor. We don't know what decisions we'd make, but just an interesting conversation there. And don't blame him for making that decision. Sometimes you just got to swing and make a move. Mary says that what if we do Kyle, because they won't go to Rocks for him? And now that seems like it might be it for Mary, because Camilla's like, Kyle's my number 1. Obviously not voting for him, so now let's try to get Mary out. She tells Joe and Mitch about this. Star and Mary know that they don't really have Camilla and Mitch, though, so they kind of agree that they know that they're kind of going to have to write each other's name down, even though they don't want to. The campaign starts for Mary to try to get Star out, since Mary doesn't have her shot in the dark. Star with an incredible rap about her enemies plotting on her. Joe and Shaheen talk about maybe Mary is better to get out, because if she is maybe more likely to win immunity going forward, next time, if they're obviously planning for her to be next to get to this final 6 and then dwindle down to this final 4. At Tribal Council, though, definitely some not so nice stares with David walking in on the journey, or on the jury, should I say, and kind of awkward. And I feel like this is going to be a very bitter jury, which is what happens when you play with a lot of emotion and trust, and I don't really know the right words for it, but worrying more about connections in this game than playing the actual game for what it is, an actual game, and making moves. Like, I get that's been kind of the theme of this season is, relationships, connections, that's all good. But at the end of the day, you still have to play Survivor at the end of the day, because this is what kind of happens. Look all the way back with Rob and Amber, all the way back, all those seasons ago. Look at how bitter that jury was. I don't know if it'll be that bad, but, I think this is going to be a very bitter jury, given how the game has played, especially if it doesn't come down to this Final Four. If, Camilla and Kyle, or they've been each other's number ones, if they're able to make a move and get out of Joe, get out of Eva, or a Shaheen, and it's not this, kumbaya Final Four that we've been kind of moving towards, I definitely think this could be a very bitter jury, coming to the end. But the theme seems to be trust or paranoia. And then Star drops a gem quote here. In Survivor, when your brain can't operate, your gut will never fail you. Really love that quote, but Star ends up going home. All the votes were for Star and Mary. And next week seems like Camilla and Kyle could be playing a big factor, as she says, I want one of us in the final three. And Kyle doesn't want to hurt anyone. So they could be at a crossroads here. Possibly does Camilla, is it like kind of getting to like, hey, we need to make a move or I'm going to be out in the next vote or two after, if Mary goes out next time. So could be at a crossroads there if Kyle doesn't want to hurt anyone else. Kind of, we started to see that this episode, doesn't want to hurt anyone else. Could that be continuing next week and be like, Camilla's been my number one, and could this be kind of the end of the road for that alliance? I don't know. I hope not. I love Camilla and Kyle. I love them both. I love that they've been kind of maneuvering this game together as each other's number ones, but no one kind of really knows that. But curious to see what plays out there. And then Mary says she has one more trick up her sleeve. So that'll do it for this one. Coming down to the end here, probably another 2-3 episodes here left in this season. And yeah, I definitely think this is going to be an interesting finish. I think obviously if the result kind of at the end is one of the four of Eva, Joe, Shaheen, and Kyle, if that's kind of not the final four, I guess that would kind of be the biggest shakeup, but everything seems to be kind of playing towards that. But hey, this is Survivor. Crazy things can always happen. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.